that is headed by Miss
nice lady.
Maria. Yeah.
Just the nice lady, the one that didn't look at us too weird and kick us out.
Mm-hmm.
Isabel.
Isabella Maria, I believe. Or no, Isabel Maria. Yes. Finally. Okay, there we go. Foundry really fucking struggling right now.
Willow yanking Aang off the fucking wardrobe before she can get fully up there. No. You're a people, you gotta act like a people.
You will look long at the wardrobe.
I respect the gargoyle mode.
And positioned so close to the ceiling. Song of school.
Wait, is anybody else cutting out?
Was I
It
cutting out?
might just be
Oh
Yeah.
no, it might be me.
Do you not hear us, Zell?
on.
Yeah, the call kind of seems crackly. Give me a sec.
And you are cutting in and out, Kira, though.
Oh.
Hard
Internet was
Then maybe
10
it's not me.
ago, so it seems to vex me at present. I'll be getting on my phone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Trying to remember everything. Switch from mechanical talk to RP talk.
We're 9 people crowded in a very small room.
This is very much a fire hazard.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, fire marshals are not a thing anymore.
I actually have a second occupation. Surprise.
See, I know fire marshals are not a thing, because if fire marshals were a thing, the clockworkers would be in a lot of trouble. So, welcome back, Kira.
So you've been gathered here, I guess, to explain your business in town.
Explain
I believe
things.
mention of the Pandora's box has, like, you know, been announced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, explain things to Gloom and then sort out what the fuck happened.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Any votes on which topic we start with?
Is this in character or out of character?
Out of character.
I feel like sorting out what the fuck happened is going to get into a lot of interpersonal character stuff.
This is true.
Hawk will cover her face and try not to look at anyone directly.
So we'll start with the Pandora's box shit.
Yeah, I think Gloom crosses her arms and goes, you're all settled in now?
Well, near about. As settled as you can get with this many people.
Alright.
Yeah, you'd think the rooms would be a bit bigger.
To be fair, normally this many people shouldn't be in one room.
Gloom actively does not acknowledge they regret this decision.
Looks very... Ah! I got kicked out.
Sorry.
Oh, same. We were smote.
Oh no.
Joseph, what are you doing?
Down task. It's fine.
So Willow will kind of look around and then look very pointedly at Hawk and is like looking her head to toe again, kind of processing of like, yep, you do not look like the Hawk that I knew like a week ago. But okay. Tell me, I know you apparently forgotten a few things. Do you at least remember the basics of why you're here and what you're doing?
She nods. Remember.
Anything interesting to tell us since we talked in Tiamat?
She kind of scrunches her nose, and you can see her think about it for a second, and then just shake her head no. I was without a trace. Only rumors about people passing through town.
It looks very pointedly at Gloom.
Gloom tilts her head curiously. I guess at least having confirmation, yeah, I thought this looked weird. Something is weird.
Mm-hmm. Title
So
drop.
I think they go, so it was not my imagination. What has happened here? And she just kind of vaguely gestures ad hoc.
That didn't. There's like a look at Aang, and a look at Maddie, and a look at Huck, and then back at Gloom.
Gloom does not move her head, but her eyes follow every direction your head swivels.
I think that we should focus on the main topic before that conversation devolves.
Understood. So, who will be the first to begin explaining?
You do know what the Pandora's box is in theory, yes?
Bats my big eyelashes at the DM.
What's your intelligence modifier?
Let's find. I'm not in the foundry. It kicked me out.
It's up now, I swear. It's not gonna even change and reload and flip back and forth anymore. I cross my heart.
Okay, I'm going back for that link. Rev up those fryers. Okay. Joining game. I don't believe my intelligence was very high, but it might be. Oh, we're on a very fun static screen. It's acting like I've loaded in, but I see nothing.
Sometimes it gets stuck there for a little bit. You just have to wait it out.
Here she is. Okay, my intelligence modifier. That would be a +0, my good friend.
You have no idea what Pandora's box is.
Okay.
That's old world knowledge, probably. But you don't know.
Very serious face. They shake their head.
Okay.
Please
then.
elaborate.
Oh, just kind of sigh, and you see her like the cogs turning. Now, Pandora's box, at least long time ago, before all of this, and just like a vague gesture around. Most thought to be a myth, but there is some theory that Pandora's box, which is supposed to have originally held all of the sins and the evils of the world, everything unpleasant and painful and dark, was opened, and that's what caused the weirding to begin with. It's what separates the old from the new. And if that theory is true, then opening Pandora's box again is going to present a problem. That girl, in theory, looks at Hawk, might have Pandora's box.
She nods. It's not clear how she got it. It's clear that she's certainly got some kind of magic thing going on. She just kind of waves vaguely.
Though, to be fair, this is all based off of a prophecy from a fae.
Hawk
And that's-
looks away and is kind of ashamed looking.
That's also
Now-
not factoring in the fact that she can control the woods or something.
You see the sheriff's face sort of there's sort of a scowl of contemplation happening here. I guess people in this setting kind of have to keep an open mind about news that they receive.
That's what I'm rolling with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It seems like every at least every month there's another thing of like, oh yeah, this actually exists. Is like, I thought we proved. Nope, we just found it. Cool.
It's here the whole time. Shit. So you can tell they're taking your words into very serious consideration. I think the next question is, I would hear of this prophecy.
Gestures
Try to find my
talk.
character voice.
I think we all would.
Hawk, looks around and what is the general mood that everyone is putting off,
Curious.
or at least a vague approximation?
Gloom's got a whole scary thing going on, but the general vibe is receptive and listening.
Willow is Willow.
Aang is vibing, inner lane, thriving, moisturized.
Not allowed on top of the wardrobe.
She does keep looking at the wardrobe longingly.
Hawk kind of scratches her forehead, and in the gesture is kind of hiding behind her eyes, but she will recite the prophecy. I can't remember where I put it because I did write it out, but she will straight up.
In an Amy note.
I thought she wasn't able to tell us the prophecy.
She
the full details or something like that.
Oh.
She did not tell you the full details. She tells you only the part that you've already heard.
Mm.
You good, Amy? I just heard an O.
I almost started taking notes for weird in the Rune Lord's OneNote.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, at least that would have just been a copy and paste.
I should be able to just right click and move it, send it to this notebook. Yeah. Wait, are they both synced up?
Huh?
What you mean?
Hold.
Do you mean that we have the same amount of sessions?
Almost.
Yeah.
Neat.
Almost. Very close. We have 17 Rune Lord sessions. This is session 20 for Weird.
Wow. I really wish I'd written down profit from. Fucking can't remember. Either way,
let's see. Search.
The vague foretelling that Hawk had gotten was she basically explains she was told that there was a traitor in her brotherhood. She was told that Pandora's box is the key. They will try to manipulate, and they will betray their kin. And in this prophecy that Hawk received from this Fae-esque type person, Hawk was explicitly told about Willow, Paige, Maddie, and Electra, like, these people, they will be the ones to help you along the way. Or they will be the ones who are... They are the ones who will be with you when you find them.
Okay. And is is Hawk relaying that info?
More or less. In the more or less kind of vague, hawkish way where she's, like, giving you what you need to know, but also, like, kind of hand-waving, like, not any flowery kind of language, like, yeah, she says something like this and kind of like that. It's not entirely clear if she's, like, intentionally obfuscating things, or if she is just kind of ashamed that she is reciting a prophecy to someone unironically.
She's clearly going through something.
So,
Something to
as
note.
this is going on, alright, hold on. I unmuted, right? You guys can hear me?
Mhm, mhm,
Yes.
Yeah.
mhm.
Alright, it's trickier on phone. It's trickier on phone. As Hawk starts relaying this message, Aang kind of tilts her head. Alexandria?
She turns and looks at you.
Did you not find it passing strange that it was a Fae that spoke these things to thee? It is not our place to deal in prophecies of this sort.
You see her face, like, kind of contort again in this outward depiction of shame or discomfort, and she breaks eye contact with you, and she just goes, I know, whoever this Fae was, she knew things. Just, I don't know, a Fae shouldn't know, and I know when Fae are in my head. I'm used to it. And she just kind of shrugs and goes, this was different. And she is very much, like, trying to... She wishes that she could be invisible at this moment.
Willow kind of tilts her head and then looks over to where Dee Dee is. And have you heard anything of, like, prophesizing Fae?
Dee Dee is just kind of sitting in the corner of the room, crisscross, and she's like, oh, I haven't heard shit, darling. I've been trapped in a box for 20 years.
No, before that even. You seem like you've gotten around a bit.
She scratches her chin and shrugs. Oh, don't sound like no Fae, but I've been fooled before. Doesn't sound like anyone I know, that's for sure. You know the whole Fae don't speak lies or whatever kind of thing that y'all humans try to remember?
There's an arch of the brow.
She gestures with her hand like, well, imagine how that works with prophesizing future shit.
It is a terrible thing even to guess at the weather.
She looks over at Aang and just goes, thank you. See, King gets it.
Aang nods very, very sagely.
You know, I think I'm gonna have to ask. Gloom's gonna press this question to Hawk. So, you received this prophecy without gaining an understanding of the individual's identity?
She just pinches her nose, and you can see, like, the unbridled shame is starting to, like, coagulate into frustration, and she's like,
no.
I get it, okay? It's really, really sketchy, but there's she made a point. She said something. Just, it was my best guess that she was a fae, because she wasn't anything I've ever seen before. If she was a fae, it would make the most sense, but she gave me proof that I should listen.
No, fae or not, I'd wager that she's correct.
Understood. And this proof.
She looks up.
Are you at liberty to expound on what it is?
She starts, and you can see, like, initially she gears up to be like, she had something to say, and then it's on the tip of her tongue, and you know that kind of look where you're like, you walk into a room and forget why you walked in there? She runs headlong into that, and she just goes, no, you just have to take my word for it.
Gloom
Core.
nods slowly.
Real quick, I just want to test. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah.
Currently.
10-4, breaker,
Yeah.
breaker.
Okay. Thank God. All right, continue.
So, you've received a prophecy from a being you cannot identify, but your best guess. It is a fae. The prophecy involves a box which may have been responsible for unleashing the weirding, and following this trail, it has led you to my town.
Hawk, not looking at you, she's like looking outside the window, and she just goes, that sounds about right. There is, from the corner of the room, you hear Dee Dee just go,
How long ago did you receive this prophecy?
She turns slightly, and you can see her kind of doing a little bit of math. She, by her reckoning, she says, maybe 3 weeks ago, just after the new year.
Above table. Weren't we traveling like 2 weeks?
She said a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I heard 3.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I
it's
heard 3
February
as well.
No, you know what? I meant a few. I had to open the calendar to look, because she received the prophecy before you started traveling. She received it like somewhere between the 1st of January to like the 15th of January.
What day is it now?
It is on the calendar the 12th of February. So actually probably about a month ago.
Okay.
At this, Aang sort of softly smiles and goes, Yuletide hath always brought interesting tidings for you, has it not?
She looks up at you, Aang, and there's like kind of like a very like lost expression. Like she's kind of searching your face for something, like maybe answers, but she doesn't find any. And she shakes her head and snaps herself out of it and just goes, yeah, sorta. It's... And she shrugs. It's always on or around my birthday, I guess. Something has to happen.
So I spied a mysterious figure that could be, who the party is looking for, but we have no confirmation on that. Is there, just refreshing my understanding, how long ago was it I saw a girl walking barefoot into the woods?
About a week ago.
Okay. Do I know which direction?
You do.
Ooh.
She walked barefoot in through the southern part of town, and up through the northern part of town.
Okay. I think Gloom's gonna look around the room, at all the people gathered here, and they're gonna go. A compelling story. Does anyone have anything else they would like to add? I would take all matters into account, preferably.
And aside from you admitting that you saw something strange yourself, Willow says, still very quickly sketching something. She is not looking up anymore.
Myself?
Yeah, you said that when I asked you in the church what was interesting around here. Saw a girl come through. And somebody else around her, or with her, something along the lines.
Did I see someone else around her with her?
Thought you said there was some strange person. I don't know if you were mentioning Hawk in that statement.
There's a strange, perhaps a strange man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think
Oh.
this was yes, this was something that before you were actually Gloom,
Yeah.
an NPC Gloom saw and also said. But yes, there was a.
Wow, you sound slightly different, Gloom, than when you said that.
Please, sound so intense. But you saw a very, very tall, broad figure who looked masculine in kind of shape, and presumably following similarly to them in that direction.
Alongside or tailing?
Definitely tailing.
Okay. Well, I think Gloom perceives you guys have been honest so far, so I think they'll nod and say, yes, it may not be much help, but what I saw was a young girl walking barefoot through town, south to north, left through the woods.
Pale of hair, like myself.
Is that something I discerned? It was night, wasn't it?
You saw her at night, but you could tell her hair was very, very pale. Maybe a little blonde tint to it, but it seemed almost devoid of color.
Mm-hmm. Aye. They nod. Tailing behind her was a tall, broad figure. Perhaps masculine in shape, but certainly following her from a distance. This was about a week ago. I do not know what became of the two after that sighting.
Round of teaching, was she? Like one of God's own cherubs?
What was the first part of that sentence?
Round of cheek, was she? Like one of
Okay.
God's own cherubs?
I did not get a clear look at her face. Could have been anywhere between the ages of 16 to 30. Which I believe was the description.
Correct.
And that's assuming that she is aging like a full-blooded human.
How long ago was the weirding?
Like 60 years.
Yeah, the weirding happened, quote unquote, officially in 1845. So almost exactly 50 years ago, give or take an extra couple of years.
Okay.
Long enough ago that most everybody here came about after the weirding. Not
Mhm.
everybody, but most.
Looking at Hawk.
Everyone pointing to Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Willow will kind of look up after a moment, kind of look around the room. As we're percolating on that information, I think I have another question. She will rip out a page of her journal. I think this might have something to do with things. Any of you ever seen a place like this before? She'll start, like, passing a sketch around of a giant tree with a whole bunch of stones around it, kind of like a Stonehenge. Start with Maddie and go around the circle.
Did I
Joe?
send you the picture, Z?
A
So-
picture a long time ago.
Yeah. See if I can
Long.
rewind and find it.
Like at the start of this shit when we were plotting for Willow.
Yeah. But to anyone looking around or looking at the sketch, it doesn't seem familiar to the NPCs, except Hawk. It does seem curiously. Actually, no, it's not true. It does seem familiar to some NPCs. Maddie, you've never seen it. Paige, you've never seen it. Gloom, you've never seen it. Lecture's never seen it. Aang, you've never seen it, but it does strike like a bone deep anxiety in you, like something that stretches like beyond like an anxiety related to faith or anything. It is like, no, that's a bad thing. Whatever that is, that's no good. And Paige, when the paper comes around to you, you've never seen this before. That is just a tree. It's a spooky looking tree, but it is a tree. Yeah, and over your shoulder you hear clear as day, like, ooh, now that is one dangerous little tree right there. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I would not mess around with that thing. And just as soon as you hear that voice, it is just gone.
And Paige just fucking jumps. She was just having her time, just minding her own fucking business. Well, not really. She was observing everyone, but she's been quiet. And then she sees it, she just fucking jolts up. And kind of fixes her hair. And I'm very sorry. Can you repeat that for me? Cut out a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You hear the Mr. Tall Tales come over, and he's just like, whew, that is one nasty looking place. I would not fancy myself messing around in that place. That's for sure. And he just vanishes.
Okay. She jumps and fixes her hair. She kind of just hands it back. And she's just like, don't think that's a good place. And probably wouldn't want to be there.
Just as Paige says that, Aang is also like hissing.
You do that?
Gloom has an eyebrow raised at these curious reactions.
Hawk looks at it and kind of turns it over in her head, and she's like, I don't think I've been here, but I've seen a place like it. Towards the south, I think. Or maybe. I don't remember now. Was it the south? She kind of scratches her head like she think this is a different thing that she had somehow misplaced in her mind.
There's a little pursing of the lips as Willow considers this. And just nods. Well, perhaps it's not meant to be known about right now. She'll just take the picture back and fold it up and wave a hand.
What significance does this place hold to you?
Let's just say I have a feeling that we're going to have to go to it eventually.
Acknowledgement.
Concerning.
Yeah.
Not gonna ruin my day.
Huh. Gloom's like, that's gonna suck for y'all.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Good luck.
Sorry about the scary picture, or congratulations. I'm not actually sure.
Mm.
Do I have permission to share this picture, Joe?
Yeah, you absolutely do. You shared a sketch of it, so everyone else is allowed to see it if you so choose.
Let's see if this works.
Just want to say,
Nope, that's not
it's
gonna
a
work.
little.
Continue.
Let me in. Let me in.
Hydration check, because I was feeling like so awful and nauseous, like ever since I woke up. I just had like a big swig of water. Totally better. I'm
I
healed.
drink water.
Charles brought me some lemonade, so
Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
that's really cool.
yeah, it's the lemonade they make when we don't have actual lemonade, so it's water and yuzu. But
Oh, I love yuzu.
it works.
Man, I haven't had Yoo-hoo in a long time. I didn't know you could make it lemonade.
Yuzu.
Fucked up that chocolate and lemons goes so well together, I guess.
But Willow just tucks that away and is like, okay, well, I guess that's not a thing right now. But she is kind of eyeing Aang. Aang, you have the distinct feeling you are going to be questioned later. The growing list of things which Aang needs to answer questions about.
Aang, why do you hiss? Oh, it's because I'm cat-coated.
So, to summarize, you're not in town for long. I presume you will be attempting to tails the scroll?
Well, I don't think we have much of a choice.
I would hope that we have enough time to resupply first. So?
At least one night on an actual bed would actually do us all good, so I'd imagine so.
So nice.
Understood.
And as this is coming up, Egg looks over to Hawk. And perhaps time for a chat?
Well, that perhaps perhaps time for several more questions to be answered.
Aang looks at Hawk, and Aang looks at, Hawk looks at Aang, and then looks at Willow and just looks back to Aang and just goes, maybe time for answer.
I didn't catch that last part. That was maybe.
Maybe time for answers. She seems like curious, but also like nervous.
Aang will just nod quietly and very calmly. It's radiating. It's. She's not purring, but that you get when a cactus sits on your chest and purrs for a little bit. That's Aang's aura at present.
Kira, I hate to do this.
Oh no.
Okay, all right. Am I phone time? Phone time?
Phone time.
Okay, all right. Give me a second. I'll be right there.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
pain.
I feel bad. It's like,
Like I could understand it. It's okay. It's
not your fault.
It's
where's
not your
that?
fault.
Where's that meme? Wait, no, that's not a meme I'm thinking of.
Welcome back.
Hello.
It's okay.
It's like, technically, could we understand it? Yes, but also between the accent and Aang's way of speaking,
That's
eventually
your
we were
fault.
not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's totally valid. I would rather know before I do a very impassioned monologue of some sort.
Here, it feels like we just did this to you. Hold. I'm taking a screenshot. I felt like when you said phone time, this is what it sounded like to me. It's like,
You got any games on that roleplay device?
You got any?
phone time?
You got
Ah.
any connectivity on that phone?
Sorry, this is the moment my brother learned he can't take his toy into preschool.
That's I was gonna say.
Oh no! The despair!
Yeah.
The curled fingers of anguish!
The curled fingers are very, very strong.
Mm-hmm. That's what I heard in your voice.
Yep. So, does Maddie say that loud enough for people to hear?
She's grumbling.
I'm uncertain if that means this is an interactable statement.
If you want, sure. She's just kind of being a little pouty in her own area. Well, not pouty, just angsty. Angsty's a better word.
When
HTT.
Bloom's eyes aren't focused on the person speaking, they seem to trail back to you, Maddie.
I guess if anyone's paying attention, sure.
Willow just kind of tilts her head for a second and is watching all of this go on. I imagine doesn't hear Maddie, but knows Maddie is grumbly and annoyed. Which, yeah, fucking Maddie was upset enough that she weired out, so not surprising. And finally just kind of looks at Hawk. I am assuming that you don't really know what's going on if you've forgotten several things. Have you looked in a mirror recently? You might want to.
Hawk just gives you a look, like, what are you trying to say? She straightens her collar.
Gestures very pointedly at the mirror.
She'll walk over and look in the mirror, and then she blinks, and you can see the sudden, what happened? She leans in really close to the mirror and strokes at her hair a little bit, and she's like, What? Just... And... Isn't angry, but is just bewildered. And she is just kind of in shock.
Aang will lightly, gently smile, and she wasn't allowed up on the wardrobe. So where did you end up stashing her, Willow?
She doesn't care where she is as long as she's either standing or sitting like a normal person. She wants to sit in the middle of the room. She can sit in the middle of the room. Willow's not gonna stop her. She just doesn't get to be a gargoyle.
She will get up and walk, I think, slightly behind, just looking over Hawk's shoulder in the mirror. And for those of you who have sight of the mirror, Aang's not visible in it. She's just kind of like a hazy blur where she should be. I believe that was what we settled on, Joe? Yeah. And then there's just a very quiet... Does it gladden your heart?
She... Hawk is very, very dumbfounded. And she looks at you, Aang, and she looks at Maddie, and then she looks back at you. I missed a lot. I'm missing a lot, aren't I?
Aang will...
Aang will.
no, it's okay. Yeah, I was just going to second that with a yes.
Mm-hmm. Was that all Maddie said?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
She has her arms crossed and looks annoyed.
Aang will add, whatever questions thou hast concerning this matter, glad would I be to answer them, whether here or at some other juncture, in private or before others, as you would prefer. But this is the gift that you asked the Sangharad for 20 years ago.
Her eyes just kind of look you up and down. And she looks at all of the other people in the room.
Loom tips their hat over their face.
The Hawk's
He's like, don't look at me, I don't have the answers.
The Hawk is immediately like, I'm painfully aware of how many people are here. She's gonna like take her hand and just kind of rub her brow and then rub her face really hard. And she is going to just look at everyone and then look at Aang and then look at Maddie and say, who feels entitled to know what happened? Not you. And she points at Gloom.
Hat still over face, they turn to the side.
It also like turns and points at Dee Dee and just goes, and definitely not you. Get out. And Dee Dee will just tearfully, like, in not like a reverse somersault, but like the body contortionist, like incredibly flexible and slightly unnerving backwards stand up from sitting position. She like unfolds herself and refolds herself until vertical,
Oh.
and she'll like tiptoe. Well, not tiptoe. Skip. She's like just skips over the room and then steps outside and goes right on the outside of the door.
Gloom is going to follow.
She looks at you, Gloom, and gives you like the raised eyebrows, like you know the repeatedly like raising your eyebrows very quickly move.
Oh. Oh.
Dee
Okay. Misread that signal. I think Gloom is.
No, you read it right. That's just Dee Dee.
Oh, okay.
Pierre is going to get up to start to leave. Like, I should not be here for this. It's not. I think I should. I think I should stand up.
I will leave you to your interpersonal matters. Do not make a mess.
Are you gonna let Pierre walk out?
No.
Okay.
I feel like he goes to sit up and Paige just hand, arm.
But this is it. This is a big deal. It's our place. You know, as we leave, or maybe just me.
Shh.
Maddie will also get up to leave.
Wait, what's the context here? I had to do shit.
Hawk said, who feels like they are entitled to know what's going on. And she just kind of said that to the room. And then she pointed at Gloom and pointed at Dee Dee and said, not you.
Okay, going on for what? There's a
For
lot
her
that...
face, her youth.
Trying
her
to figure out the youthfulness thing and also like just a general like she is clearly suffering from some sort of memory thing, but she has not put together all of the pieces, but she has put together enough to form an idea of like, okay, I think this is something that happened, because she still has a large portion of her memory. It's just body.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, Paige is just like shh. Shh.
And Maddie, you get up to leave, and Hawk's going to like put a finger into her shoulder and be like, you to stay.
Oh, so now you want to talk.
Just sit down. Just sit on the...
Gloom has shut the door. Gloom is halfway down the stairs.
As Dee Dee gets up to leave, Aang will just look at her and catch her eye for a second. Indra, no further than the outside of the inn. We must remember our courtesies.
She gets like maybe 2 or 3 feet outside the door, and then she stops, and she looks back at you, Aang, and she looks like not wounded, but she looks a little put off. Like, really? You're gonna be the one to tell me no? But she stops. She just goes, fine. And she'll cross her legs and sit right down on the floor.
Aang will nod in appreciation, the sort of like the look that you give somebody when it's like 8:55 and they came in trying to buy something and you're closing in 5 minutes and you're really sorry, but you're closing in 5 minutes. You can't do anything else. You're sorry. You know? Before she withdraws back into the room.
She is feigning being more wounded than she is. But Pierre is jerked back into his seat, so he's like, fine, I will sit here. I will be very quiet. I do not want to draw attention to myself. It is not my place. And Maddie, do you sit? You don't have to sit.
No, she'll sit down, but she's being a freaking teen about it.
Fair enough. So Hawk, like, you sit down, and Hawk looks over to Willow and will acknowledge her staying and acknowledge Electra's staying, and just goes, okay, All right. And she just rubs her forehead and just goes, I'm not going to give you my whole goddamn life story, but I will give you at least what I think may have happened. Maybe. Fair? And she looks around.
And hang around will help to fill in any gaps. Yes?
Aang nods twice.
Hawk rubs her forehead and just goes, right. Great. Good. Anyway. So, what I remember fighting. I remember anger. I remember, and she looks over to Maddie, and then, like, you can see like her forming some sort of apology on her lips, but she doesn't say it. I remember fighting, and I don't remember what caused the anger, and I don't remember why, but I remember the feelings. And she like holds her hand to her chest. And she says, she's like describing it and more in like a emotional way than anything else. Okay, where do I even start with this?
Well, 'twas Christmas.
My birthday?
Yes.
And she stops and thinks, 20 years ago.
Aang nods.
The very same.
She stops, like, kind of cutting herself off, and she looks over at Maddie and just goes, I didn't intend to keep this from you forever. I just can't just talk about this sort of thing.
Right, because the last thing you said to me before all this happened was you weren't supposed to know.
And you can see it very plain as day. Like, she does remember that. That didn't
Yeah,
She
I totally
says-
believe you.
Look, I have a responsibility to the hunters and to the people that I train, the kids, you.
Yeah, because it all falls on you, right? Only you.
She like pounds a fist to her chest hard enough to make it like ring through the door, and she just goes, it does. I'm the best there is. I don't care how good you or anyone else is. I am the best. So yeah, it does fall on me because I got a lot of people riding on my ass. If I can't fucking make them good enough, then they're gonna go out there and get themselves killed, and it'll be my fault. And then she opens her mouth to start up again, and then she just starts breaking out into a really, really bad coughing fit.
Aang will try and rub her shoulders soothingly after that, with the air of somebody who has done this, not the coughing, but who has heard that speech so many times at this point. And she
Go ahead.
she just quietly says there a few times as she's doing it.
Willow just arches a brow as like Hot goes on this tirade, and as she is coughing, she lets a cough happen for a minute, and then we'll look at Maddie. Perhaps don't poke the bear until you're back outside. Don't need to break anything of the good innkeepers. And perhaps you, looking at Hawk, might focus a little bit more on the questions at hand.
She clears her throat, and in as composed a way as she can while trying to be like somewhat still distant and quote unquote professional. She will look at you, Aang, and then nod and be like, "Thank you." Right. It was my birthday 20 years ago. I don't remember what happened, but I remember seeing something. I remember wishing. And she is kind of not lost in the memory, but she is like almost trying to piece together the missing pieces with what is the whole. And she says, I met someone. I made a wish. I know it's a stupid thing to do. And Maddie, you would know some point Hawk explicitly told you that like going in the woods and like making a wish or making like trying to get a wish granted by a fae, that's like one of like the cardinal rules of like you big no generally. This is Hawk has routinely given you the do as I say, not as I do sort of approach. But she continues to just struggle to piece together all of the pieces, and she's like, do you remember? And she looks up at you, Maddie, when I talked to you about what it would be like to not do this anymore. And she just kind of vaguely gestures to the room as if to say like all of hunting.
Maddie was biting her tongue after what Willow said, but she'll nod and kind of lose a little bit of her annoyance and just nod and be like, yeah, I remember.
And she gestures like, can't just quit. I never could. I can't leave you behind because she gestures like from your head to your toes, and she just goes, you're still growing up, and all I do is get older, and I can't just leave you out there any more than I can leave any of the people that I've trained, any of the other kids who, God knows, didn't fucking make it. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's my fault. Because I wasn't there, or I didn't train them good enough. But that's why I never told you about any of whatever was. Because how the fuck was I supposed to tell anyone about any of that? And she looks at you, Aang, and she's like, and now I think you're it. You're maybe part of that wish.
There's a soft look on Aang's face, and she nods. Alexandria, I am that very wish.
Hawk, like, looks you over for a long time, and then looks back to Maddie, and in turn looks at everyone in the room. spending the least amount of time on Pierre.
Poor Pierre.
No, Noose did not die.
Oh, okay.
Noose is out with the boys.
Yes, Noose is off with the boys, having a fucking party.
Oh, that's good.
There's no interpersonal problems in that crew, no sir.
Super
Just
praying
having
for them.
a comedic romp.
Oh boy, praying for them.
Hawk like runs a hand through her hair, and it's a gesture that, like, Maddie, you would have seen 1,000 times, and it's a gesture, Aang, that you would have also seen 1,000 times, just under different circumstances. And she just goes, and she looks at you, Aang. I'm sorry for what I remember that I did. That I think I did maybe to you. I don't know. I don't know what I did. Or, I mean, I do, but I don't know if it was you I did it to. But I remember doing... And she doesn't say what she did. And then she turns to you, Maddie, and I'm sorry I never told you. I'm sorry I couldn't just say it. It's impossible to just talk. I've never been good at this sort of thing, and she just gestures again to the room. And she runs a hand through her hair again, and then she just, like, gestures once in this sort of, well, what is it gesture? It just looks at you, Maddie, and she's like, fuck, say something. Yell at me, or throw something at me, or fucking do something. Just say something. Say words.
Sorry, I'm trying to think of, like, how to word this, but,
If you want to buy some time, I can describe Aang's nonverbal responses to this and buy you a couple minutes.
I have an idea.
Okay, go for it.
She's listening to what Hawk's saying and trying to not be a fucking petulant child about it. And she just kind of sighs and is like, really, though? Immortality, Alex? And then, like, I don't know what happened between you two, but did Aang really deserve that either?
She just, like, looks down at the ground, like, ashamed.
Out of everyone, I know you have a temper. It's... Where do you think I get mine from? But... Really? You just abandoned her. What exactly did you want, Alex? Did you want your happily ever after, or no? Do you want to be this awesome hunter and live forever? Or do you want to retire and live a normal life? You don't get both sides. You don't get both.
She like, you can see the frustration really building, and she's like holding her fists and clenching them really tight, and she's like winding like a spring. And when you say you don't get both, she like throws her fist out and just pushes it straight through the door. And she just goes,
You hear Gloom go, oh, downstairs.
Dee
At
Dee
least
sitting
not
right
in that
beside
way.
the door. Dee Dee looking at the door, sipping tea, Kermit the Frog gift. But Hawk pulls her fist back out through the door, and she's not wearing gloves. She has her gloves off, so like there are cuts and scrapes and wood splinters on her hand, and she just like looks at her fist. And the best I could think of was I'm just glad for this stupid box thing because I don't have to think about it. I can think about something else is more pressing than that.
So I'm not sure if you heard, but I kind of imagine as she did that punch, Maddie added to the end, like, you can't have it both. You can't have both, at least not in that way. Is what I wanted to add to that.
Mm-hmm. I heard.
Okay, just making sure. Aren't you the one that's always and I guess God, who was their teacher? I'm trying to remember their name, the teacher's name. It was one of the Valentines, right?
Yeah, it was Electra's father.
What
or
was his
grandfather.
name?
I can't remember.
What was his name?
I can't remember. It might be in that doc I shared with you.
Yeah, I don't think there was a name on there or something.
But he would have gone by Valentine, which is how the name got so
Okay.
popular.
Wasn't the whole point of Valentine's training trusting your companions and your hunter siblings?
She like you hear like the really, really pained scoff, and she just goes, "Oh, you are not quoting Valentine at me right now."
You not believe it then?
That's what I said. But
that's what it sounds like you just said.
She like scrunches her fingers, like she's like compressing the air in front of her, and she's just like,
oh, sorry.
She's more mumbling to herself, like, how did I raise you with such a fucking mouth?
Maddie will keep going in. So which is it?
If either of you break anything else, I will escort you back outside and you can have the argument in front of the entire village.
Which is it? Which is it, Hawk? Is it only you? Are you the best hunter? Or are we all working at this together? Which is it? Maddie actually stand up and kind of poke her.
Hawk, for the first time,
Wait.
For the first time in a long time. Oh, got what?
Well, I mean, if you want to have Hawk do something, you can. I was going to have Aang. Why am I forgetting the word?
Intercede.
Intercede. Yes, thank you.
Intervene.
Yeah, I was going to have her intervene real quick here, but
Mm-hmm.
that's only if you're okay with that, Iris. I wouldn't want to book out any time for me. Yeah. Aang will, as Maddie steps up and is about to poke her, Aang, who is tending to Hawk's hurt hand, will turn and take a breath. Please, I have waited 20 years for my family to be reunited. Can we go an hour without a fight? Please.
Hawk like looks at Aang and then looks at you, Maddie, and just goes, I don't know. Can't choose. So I picked both in the only way that I knew how. Which
By
was
choosing neither.
closes her eyes and just like seethes in the moment. She looks now like past you, Maddie, and she looks at Paige and Willow and she just goes, Is this a good enough explanation? I don't know what to explain more than
Well, you can explain why you just started a fight in the middle of town on seeing Aang for the first time in 20 years.
Aang will, hold on, let me pull up my notes here so I don't fucking talk out of my ass. I think it's 10 years. This is, I believe it's 10 years, yeah. Aang will quietly go, 10 years, actually, since we last saw each other.
blinks, and she looks over at Aang and then looks over at Willow and says, You know when you get so invested in something, turns out to not be what you thought it was.
And there's just a little tilt of the head.
It's like that. And there was no other option except to double down or triple down or quadruple down, and there wasn't any other thing I could think to do except to go back to what I always know. And she gestures to Maddie and just goes, I know how to fight. That's what I do. That's all I'm good at. I'm not a good mom. I'm not a good sister. I'm not a good partner. I'm just. And she pulls her sword off her back, and she's not brandishing it, but she's holding it point down, and she kind of like gestures it towards you, Willow, and she's like, I'm just a weapon. That's all I'm good for. I'm good at killing. That's why I can't find this box. So I can't find that random girl. That's why I trusted the prophecy and then some. It's because I'm not good at those things. I'm just lucky, I guess. I don't know. That's why I attacked, because I had to convince myself that if I made the wrong call, I would be able to fix it if I just. And she just kind of drops her arms to her side, like it's easier to just do what I'm good at.
Willow is kind of watching this, doesn't even react at the sword being drawn. Just hands kind of clasping behind her back, and rather than the like casual stance that she normally has, she almost kind of draws herself up to a little bit more authority than she really has since meeting any of you. She kind of lifts her chin a little bit. And she is looking for a long moment at Maddie. A long moment at Aang, and then back at Hawk. We don't have the pleasure of particularly long, well, acquaintanceship here, you and I, but I assume that you knew of the clockworkers that have worked with the hunters. In particular, you might know Eugene.
She looks up and nods. I know you. He's an eccentric.
Oh, eccentric is one of the words you can use. It's part of why I became his partner. He's a little bit of a... yeah. I question his work sometimes myself, but he does have moments of brilliance. Part of the reason they let him at the university. You know what? He has told his students that I've heard him say over and over again, and might actually be useful in this situation. Nobody is good or great at anything without trying. Without work. I'm sure you've seen hunters that have natural talent that don't work, that don't become better. Probably the same ones you've seen die. You're not good at anything else but fighting. Have you actually tried?
She kind of, she like there's a chord that your words have struck with her, and when you say "Have you actually tried?" she like kind of scrunches her mouth a little bit and looks over at Maddie and goes, "Never knew what to really try at," because she gestures to Maddie and then gestures to herself. Age is weird. It's one thing when you're growing up and it feels like sisters, and it's another thing when you're grown up and you feel not like sisters.
Age is weird, but family is easy.
You did speak of falsehood, Alexandria. You're quite a good poetry reader. Very cultured when you let yourself be.
She snorts and just kind of like the idea of her considering herself cultured just she doesn't dismiss it offhand, but she just kind of chuckles at the idea.
You can also hold your drink way better than anyone else. Any other human.
I have seen you butcher an entire deer in less than 15 minutes.
The fucking rules, actually.
She like sniffs and wipes her nose a little bit and then rubs like a finger and thumb over her eyes. She goes, "Okay, I'm good at other things too. I thank you." And she just puts a hand over her face. It's like, don't even know what to say now. I don't know what to do next.
We finish the mission, and then you say that you are going to actually try. And when you inevitably fall on your ass, you will continue to try.
She nods. Okay.
Aang,
Yes.
go.
Just okay, I guess.
Aang looks around at the gathered party. If this creature may be so bold as to make a suggestion, a request, may I cook for thee, all of thee? It's a fine occasion worth celebrating, and a kitchen that I believe hath a stove better than the one that we had, Alexandria. Perhaps I could show my appreciation for your kind patience in this manner. It would bring this creature joy.
She looks around, and Hawk looks over at Maddie and just goes, I'm sorry for all of the meals that I cooked for you. She just kind of shrugs. You know, the way that...
You cut out there, what?
She said, I'm sorry for the meals that I cooked for you that were, the way they were.
Well, as long as you don't mind a late Christmas present or birthday present.
She blinks and tilts her head. What?
Well, I mean, you weren't around this last birthday, so I think I owe you Christmas coconuts.
She pauses for a second and has to process what you said, and then it hits, and she's just like, oh God, no. If of anything that you owe me, it's not those. That's vile.
Madigan, am I entitled to Christmas coconuts? Seeing as it was my birthday as well.
That's fair. So I need to make double the helpings.
Where are
Well,
we
I
even
think it's
going
settled.
to... No, it's not settled. We can have anything but those. Or just regular coconuts are good too. Just normal coconuts. We don't have to roast them.
No. I have a very special way I've been practicing. I'm sure you'll love them. She's grinning very mischievously.
Hawk is not... She's not grinning. She looks like she is smiling, but it is also a twisted kind of yeah, that's what we're gonna do, huh?
Willow is watching all of this, and I imagine Willow is positioned a little closer to Paige and Pierre than these three. And she'll just kind of lean her head in their direction, and in French, just very calmly, I don't think that we need to be eating whatever they are talking about.
Yeah, if they're roasting something, I'm just gonna roast marshmallows. You can have some.
Pierre's
sounds like a better option.
Pierre says, coconuts? Roasted coconuts?
They're saying coconuts? Really? Yeah, we're roasting marshmallows. We're not doing that. You're not doing that.
Well, if we are all settled, and nobody's going to be breaking anything else or punching anybody else for at least the night, I think arranging for dinner might actually be a good idea. No, anger on if we're going to be talking frankly here, but you do need to start. Do you have to refer to yourself as this creature?
There's a pause and a blink.
This. I never had the thought to do otherwise. Does it bother thee? Is this. What was the phrasing?
And then she kind of looks at Hawk, looks at Maddie, looks back at Willow.
Really weird.
Hawk opens her mouth and then just closes her mouth and nods.
Oh. It is a little odd, if nothing else. You're less creature, more
Speaking
person. You can just say I.
speaking of odd, give me that sketch. I feel like I've seen it somewhere, but I just can't remember where.
We'll produce the sketch again.
Do you have any? Do you have any more around the area that you could maybe sketch? Anything that you could think of?
I don't know, Joe, do I?
Sketching outside the area and around it a little bit, you could detail more trees. But there's not many more landmarks. You could easily sketch more of these like dead, decaying trees.
Oh, we'll just kind of like tilt her head of like, oh, around it's really just more dead trees and then like. Do I remember the kind of weird shit that happened there very distinctly, Joe?
Yes. Yeah. So the weird shit that happened.
And the
there was
other
a
weird
hatch.
ship that's like, I think under.
Mm-hmm. That was the number one thing that you remember is there is an entrance near this tree.
There's dead and decaying trees all around primarily, not much more interesting visually. There is a entrance into something underground. Very close by, though.
She kind of purses her lips, and you can see the thought, like, trying to coalesce in her mind. And she'll take the sketch from you and kind of look at it and ruminate on it, and she'll pull out a map. And she's just like this. The map that she pulls out of her book, and this is a map that you would have seen like 100 times before, Maddie, because this is like her hunting map, where she details like her journeys. Yes.
Regional map.
So on the regional map, you can see that she's detailed like a bunch of different journeys walking into the woods and into the mountains, and one down towards the coast and back, a few into the marshes. Most of her journeys are in different stints of going in through the woods. But she has one stint that, let me do a little detail here, where she details going down the road and then into this tree area here. And she's looking at the map and like pressing her thumb to the pages and like flipping through parts of her journal where she's detailed out like trip number A23 or whatever, or trip number whatever, because she has like a weird system that has changed and been refined over the years. And as she like thumbs through it, she stops and points to one of the routes, and she just goes, "Yeah, I think I passed by somewhere in this area. This whole part of the woods." And she just like circles with her finger the area with the dead trees, and she's like, I'm not a naturalist, I'm not a nature person, but this is a dangerous. There's no life. There's no food for miles. Like, survival here is, you better pack heavy. That's the first thing that I remember. But I didn't go under. I went by. I don't know if that helps you, but I could mark it on a map.
I imagine Willow pulls out her own map.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the offer. I do have my own, thankfully, though.
Mm.
She'll fucking mark it and make a little note.
Yeah, what do you mean, you didn't go under?
She kind of like scrunches her nose a little bit as she tries to think about it. She's like, I think I remember going through this area and seeing, it looked like holes. Sort of. Trenches and holes, and she shakes her head and shrugs. Like some bunkers, but mostly like big ruts in the ground. And then at one point there was just there was a tree that I saw. I don't know if it was that one, but it was a little bit of a tree clearing area. And I tend to avoid things that look like ritual sites when I find them on my own. For obvious reason.
I'd actually wager that deciding not to go under anything was wise.
And Will, hearing this, smirk a little impishly. As long as you were not in search of another wife over there.
She just, like, if she was eating food, she would choke on it. But she turns to you and she goes, no, God, no. She just shakes her head and, like, has no idea how to address that thought, but just goes back to you, Willow, and just goes, if you plan on going in that direction, you're gonna encounter some weird creatures. No sort of zombies or werewolves or vampires or anything normal. And she puts her fingers in quotation marks. It's kind of shadowy creatures, broken things that wander through the woods. I don't know what life sustains them. There's no food, but there is something there that they're able to sustain themselves on.
Willow nods, writing down what Hawk is saying. I don't think it's wise to go right now, not when we have to worry about that box, but This is useful information. Thank you, Hawk.
She nods, and she'll look to the rest of the group inside and say, that box, I get it. I get if you think I've fucking lost it and you don't want to deal with this anymore. You've already done what you can. If you want to hang it up now, you can. Like, for all you know, this is a wild goose chase.
What?
What do you mean? What?
Vanity Page is like sitting down. She's gonna stand up. Her fucking not even 5 foot fucking glory. It's like, no. You can't just get us on this mission. This is something that we could do to change everything. And then just say that, oh, we can just go home. No, we can't. It's not an option. At least not for me.
And to be fair, I think if any of us were leaving, we'd already would have. I mean,
Exactly.
look around this room. What, standing with a hunter that's de-aged 10, 20 years right in front of our eyes? A living embodiment of a wish who is a fae but not a fae. And whatever Dee Dee is as Dee Dee continues to try and evade us. Oh, we're playing nice with her. And there's a very pointed look through the hole in the door at Dee Dee.
Dee Dee, like, you can see she is peeking through the hole. She's being nosy. Just like, whoop, and it hides.
Dee Dee, you've been trapped in a box for who knows how long. And I have no doubt that you'll gossip in every life that you live. Don't even pretend.
You hear snickering from outside the door. Look, if you... Hawk gestures, like hooks a thumb in the direction of the door and just goes, if you've got the local sheriff helping you and you feel like you're closing in on this box or this girl who has the box or whomever, I can take over the contract and take Dee Dee and put her back in the box and make sure she stays there. I know how to deal with her. I've done it before.
Dee Dee's actually been useful in heading us in the right direction.
Iris, eat your mic. Eat your mic.
You're way too far away.
Is this better?
Yes.
Thank you, Iris.
Sorry. Yeah, we were told to meet up here, and we're meeting here to get you, but yeah, we have no clue where this girl is. She kind of shrugs.
Again. As Maddie says that, and holds up a finger and goes, "Mad again, thou art telling falsehoods."
What do you mean?
Kindred hath given us direction, hath she not?
Okay, knowing a direction and where someone is kind of different, would you say?
Joe, I would like to attempt something here. Aang will try and attempt to say, we have no idea where the girl is.
Uh-huh.
Is she able to say it?
When you say we, do you mean yourself in the royal we, or do you mean like she and Kindred, as in Dee Dee too?
She's including the party. Plus Dee Dee right now, because I guess Dee Dee's part of it.
You would know. You would have an idea of where the girl is.
So she is able to say. She's not able to say, we have no idea where the girl is.
Correct.
So she starts going and she goes, no idea. And then she stops and she just looks at Maddie.
It takes her like 4 or 5 seconds. On the 5th second, she's like, "Oh."
So that's when they
In-
work with in regards to what you know. Or can you say like somebody doesn't know something to test if they know something or not?
I confess, never has the thought crossed my mind.
Oh no.
So can you say you don't know where she is?
Aang will attempt to say, I do not know where the girl is.
That is correct. You can say that.
I know not where the girl hath gone.
Maddie is gonna start stomping over to the door.
Be
Dee
nice.
Dee-
She has been cooperative.
You see Dee Dee sitting there with her legs crisscrossed applesauce and her hands in her lap, and she is twiddling her thumbs and rocking back and forth on her butt, just like innocent as can be. She pretends to not notice that you are at the door. Like she's just like very obviously not looking at the door like
What I imagine Maddie's doing the was it Here's Johnny, like creepy peeking through the door. She's doing that, but not doing that exact look, but it's like glowering down at Dee Dee with a look of, what are you telling us? You've got some explaining to do.
Dee Dee just rocking on her butt, just like, who, me? Did I do something wrong? Oh, I'm terribly sorry if I did. I just want to be helpful. And she flutters her eyelashes at you.
Where's the girl? Maddie will open the door after saying that. It's like, wait, why? Fucking.
In the like immediately after she opens the door, Willow will just raise her voice. Hopefully just loud enough to kind of echo downstairs for a weirdling who probably has heightened senses. Sheriff, I do think you need to come back up here.
Yeah, not too far away from the scene. You hear no verbal affirmation, just very purposeful steps coming back.
Cowboy boots.
Yeah, you hear the spurs.
Clink, tink, tink,
Clink spur.
Clink, tink,
Clink
tink,
spur.
Clink,
A
tink, tink.
tumbleweed rushes past us through the room.
It's more crowded than ever.
Womp, womp,
Womp,
womp.
Who left the window open?
This town is so crowded.
I will also point out that this room is now Maddie and whoever else's, because there's a hole in the door. It's y'all's room.
Maddie didn't make the hole.
Yeah, well, it's fucking y'all's room.
Gloom.
Anyone who could conceivably have the last name Hawk can stay here.
Gloom
Maddie
stands
and I
outside
now.
the door, and just very gingerly places a hand on the hole and looks over the room.
Hawk, like, holds up the finger and just goes, I'll pay for that. Sorry.
Payment would be in order, as well as issuing an apology to Miss Maria.
I'll do that. She looks a little ashamed again.
This is Hawk's big day.
Truly.
Just caught in wave after wave of her own actions.
Me sowing,
Your-
me reaping.
Yeah.
Hawk has had fucking like 40 years to fuck around. She's starting to find out real hard right now.
Back to back finding out.
Category 5 finding out event.
Well deserved finding out.
Mm-hmm.
Gloom nods and enters the room.
All eyes on Dee Dee.
Dee Dee, like, with her hands behind her back, is just sitting there rocking back and forth. And she looks over and just goes, Oh, me? Little old me? Well, truth be told, I didn't mention it sooner, but I think I got her sent. That's good news, right? That's worth celebrating. Let's get, like, drinks and a nice meal. Ken said
How
she would
long
cook.
ago?
She looks at you, Maddie, and she gives you the most, like, evil shit-eating grin.
Oh,
Well, again, I just wanted to be certain that it was the correct scent that I was on. But how about that celebration drink first? And she winks at you.
Are you picking up any sense that are moving in the same directions? Anything that stands out?
Nothing that won't be an issue for y'all. And she looks at her fingernails.
Dee Dee.
She looks over to you and, like, raises an eyebrow and just goes, I was paid to find the girl. If you want me to find someone that's not the girl,
I never said
we
anything
might need to
about
work something.
finding, but you could inform us.
You can make me a diplomacy check.
Wasn't
Would it-
part of the... Oh, sorry.
Would a Willow guilt trip help with this?
I'll give you a +1 for Willow guilt tripping.
That's what I imagine
Can
Willow...
Aang assist for like a +2 or +1, whatever it is?
Yeah, so if you roll a diplomacy check, and if you succeed, you will give a +1, or if you critically succeed, you will give a +2 to Willow. And your DC is a DC 15.
All right.
Wasn't part of the agreement too that, like, kind of warning us if there was harm coming by or something like that?
She was.
Or was it...
That was part of it, but it was also largely based around, like, she would be helpful if you are all attacked or in danger in some way, and she would not intentionally lead you into danger in any facet.
Okay, well, that still counts. So Maddie adding on to that would be like, something, not leading us into danger, something.
Yeah, that's why she looked at her fingernails and was like, whatever it is, you don't need to worry about it. It's not gonna hurt. It's not an issue for you guys. But
I imagine...
I got a
Go ahead. What'd you
What?
say?
I got a 15 on my diplomacy to assist.
hey, that is another +1 for Willow.
Because I imagine Willow, when she's like... When she sees Dee Dee is resisting her, Willow just kind of like tilts her head slightly. Dee Dee, I know that you are not inclined to be particularly helpful to humans, but I thought that at least the two of us were getting along.
Roll your diplomacy check.
Well, that's a 19 without anything. So then that's a +1 from Aang.
+1 from guilt trip, +1 from Aang.
So that's 2 plus 324.
With a 24, you'll get there for sure. So she looks at you, and she's playing somewhere. She's like a little coy and a little like oh well, you okay? Yes, I did pick up another scent. It smelled like a whole group of men, and well, a whole group of humans. I can smell that stink from a mile away. But they weren't all walking together. There was a group of them, and it looks like they came up from somewhere north of where we left in a different part. They didn't pass through town. And then I found another scent somewhere in town, some pretty medium-sized fella. And that would make, she counts on her fingers, 5 of them. And you can see her kind of look up to the ceiling and check her mind like she's visiting a memory, and she goes, and I would think one of them was a woman, if I smelled that right.
What? Human, or nearly so, as far as you can tell.
She like spreads her hands out and just goes, whew, a lot of them, all human. That's what I was saying, y'all ain't gotta worry. You think humans are an issue for y'all? And she just waves a hand dismissively.
Depends on the type of human.
There's no. Where's my bluff, Joe? Where'd my bluff go?
Your bluff? Oh, it's
Yeah, where's
deception.
bluff? Pursue.
Ooh.
Let's see. 13. All right. Aang is when Dee Dee says, "What's a bunch of humans going to do to threaten the rest of you?" Aang is trying to keep a straight face, but there is a visible flinch.
Paige is gonna remember that for later.
Well, if you have a scent of them, then that means you can lead us in their direction. And she looks at Hawk. And that means we do need Dee Dee to accompany us.
Hawk just scrunches her nose. It's like, okay.
Paige also scrunches her nose.
I
Well.
feel like by
I'm sorry.
now, perhaps do I have an understanding, not exactly as to what Dee Dee is, but just like, oh yeah, I thought something was off, something is off.
Yes. Yeah.
And to be fair, depending on how smart you want to be with the Gloom, Willow, it was... I think there was a mention of a contract at some point in front of Gloom.
Yeah.
So, some assumption of possibly Fae, or Fae adjacent, if there's a contract.
And Aang is called her kindred. So.
Gloom also scrunches her nose.
3 scrunched noses at this.
Aang looks around. Oh, go on. After you. No, after you.
And then after Paige scrunches her nose for a second, she kind of wipes it off her face. As she kind of like sits up a little bit. Is Dee Dee really going to be of much help? If we have to interrogate her for every little thing, that sort of defeats the whole point, no?
Willow will kind of tilt her head and will look towards Dee Dee. consider Dee Dee very carefully. And oh god, does Willow want to do this shit?
Paige is just like, we put her back in the box, put her back in the box. Hawk offered to escort her, put her back in the fucking box.
Willow just kind of arches a brow at Dee Dee. The contract, unfortunately, didn't mention a whole lot about information. But, and she will give Dee Dee a very pointed look, if Dee Dee intends to continue to work within the bounds of good faith, interrogation shouldn't be needed too often.
Is it warming time?
Sorry. Oh shit, it actually is. Okay, actually, give me like 2 seconds. I'm late.
Hear the Joe running. 5-minute break for everybody.
I imagine as all of this is going on, Aang is just quietly going from person to person and asking what they want for dinner.
Not Christmas coconut.
Not
No,
that shit.
Maddie's got that taken care of. Don't worry.
Hey, what's Christmas coconut?
I don't want to know.
I feel like it's been mentioned before. I think you told me before, but I feel like I erased it from my memory.
You were there for the lore, Amy. You were there for the lore.
I was there for the lore. I think my mind just made me forget it for my own safety.
It's very straightforward. They're coconuts you eat on Christmas.
Okay.
There's an asterisk there. You know there is.
Doubt.
Okay, fine. Cooked coconuts you eat on Christmas.
And
How were they cooked? How were they cooked?
They may have been burnt to an absolute crisp. Maybe.
I'm starting to think. Well, maybe not starting to think. I've formulated my own take on what this could be. And this is the reality that I'm electing to live in sweet, blissful ignorance. But for Christmas, usually like roast nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
On an open fire, I'm told.
So these are like straight up nuts, like chestnuts, but they were burnt. So how do you eat them without like acknowledging that they're burnt and, you know, having to show that off on a plate? You dip them in chocolate, cocoa nuts on Christmas.
See, that would
That's
be
very
so
clever.
smart. That would
That's
be
very
so
clever.
smart.
Maddie's not that smart.
Well, no. See, it was out of desperation. Okay.
Oh no.
Food is food.
I can't
Okay.
wait to put... Oh, there we go. I was just going to say, I can't wait to put Joe on the spot.
For what?
The toad, oh my goodness.
The toad! Jesus.
Someone's offended.
To be fair, we
gonna
do
put me
put
on the
Joe through
spot
some
for.
shit. We do
I
put
was
this
Like
man
the
through
toad
some
you
shit.
take when you get a parking ticket or something.
I was just gonna say, since Egg's recipe repertoire is very limited, what is she making, do you think?
What is Aang making?
Yes, what is
you
Egg
know-
making?
You know what the easiest thing to make in the world is for like any level of cook with limited ingredients.
Pasta?
Stew.
Stew. Yeah. All right, we're making stew.
You can make
The-
an
the-
absolute banger like roast beef or vegetable stew or potato stew.
But here, Kira, think of it this way. Aang likes making pies, right?
Yeah.
Pot pies.
Make meat pies. Yeah.
Pot pies. Pot pies good.
Yeah. Hot pies are good. Maybe I'll make that.
So what was the question pointed towards Dee Dee?
Was like Willow made the statement of like, to be fair, we did not make a contract that included a whole bunch of specifics about sharing of information. However, if Dee Dee, like looking at Dee Dee, she's wanting to continue to work in good faith with us, the interrogation should be few and far between.
Mm-hmm. She like nods at that and just goes, "No, you're right. When you're right, you're right. But cross my heart, I don't think you need to worry about most of them people. Because if my nose is to be trusted," she puts a hand to her side and like whispers this and just goes, "And it is. A lot of them are probably dead. I smell a lot of blood on the wind."
Blood of them being dead, or blood like our unfortunate friends in the woods?
Well, darling, I gotta be honest. If they happened to have that much blood on the wind and didn't die, I'd be real impressed.
And Willow just looks back to the group. I feel like Willow is the Dee Dee mediator here.
I'd like to point out that she said most.
Well, to be fair, anybody traveling through the woods would need at least one person. That would be a little bit of an issue. Otherwise, they wouldn't be traveling through the woods.
I just
So-
hope you don't think the fact that you're on a leash and on the box is going to.
Take the fact she's on a leash and what?
That she's out of the box and on for that she's been given freedom.
For granted.
She like looks at you and kind of does a lower lip pout and goes, "I would never. I'm just little old me. I'm just having a good time, trying to enjoy with the time out in the sun, as it were."
Enjoy or extend.
She smiles. Can it be both?
Glare.
Yeah.
If we
I-
Yeah.
added the action, do we even need to use the elf anymore?
Paige, you feel a tap on your shoulder, and you know who that tap is from like the way that it like raises the hairs on the part of your neck, on the back of your neck, and you hear like, "Look, I'm here to offer my services when they aren't explicitly only required, but she really rubs me the wrong way. If you could just scoot her out of here, I'm pretty sure we could get her on our own." And Willow, roll me a perception check.
Oh boy, oh boy. Where's my d20 again? There it is. Hold on. Perception. New total is a 21.
That is just above what you need. You needed a 20. With a 21, you feel a tap on your shoulder, and you know that That is the tap of oh my god, I can't remember. Winter.
Winter?
Yes. You feel Winter tap on your shoulder, and she, like, the tap comes from your left shoulder, and then over your right shoulder, you feel her, like, pointing. And she points, and you look where her finger is pointing. And on the ground beside Paige, there's a shadow for nothing. There's like a shadow of like a vaguely humanoid shape cast on the ground, but no one is standing there.
Willow like looks in that direction, squints a little bit as she's figuring out what she's looking at. Looks at Paige, looks at the shadow, looks at Paige, looks away.
Paige, who continues after the tap tap on her shoulder, is like, if she's going to be a bit difficult to work with, we have a direction from both her and from Madame Gloom. Do we really need to help, or could we just put it back? I think we could do the rest on our own.
Hawk, like, nods to you, Paige, and just goes, "That's the smartest way to do it. You don't want to deal with her any longer than you absolutely have to, and it sounds like you got most of your use out of her."
Paige nods.
Okay, I might be because I'm late, but I'm gonna ask for a kindness from you, Joe.
Uh-huh.
Because Willow is the one that primarily negotiated this contract with Dee Dee.
Mm-hmm.
Does she see any loopholes or anything where sending her back early is going to cause an issue? Because of the legalese of, like, we had to take her all the way to the girl type shit?
Uh-huh. So I will tell you, because Willow is savvy and did the negotiating, I'll tell you for free. The the current contract was like, okay, we can't figure out something that is worth getting her out and to the girl and back. But there was the contract was like half baked. It was, you can come out, you're on a leash, you have to not harm anyone that is an ally to us, and you have to defend us if it comes to it. And you have to lead us to the girl, and then the next part of the contract would be negotiated about whether or not she would go back in the box. But the working deal was she wanted one-on-one time with everyone to talk to them and annoy you.
Has she had one-on-one time with everyone? I don't think so.
Not quite, but you could very easily renegotiate a contract if you wanted to.
And also, technically, we haven't taken him for the girl either, though. That's part of her deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it specifically have her take us to the girl, or was it just have her help us find the girl? Because technically, she helped us find her.
Yeah, I believe it was fined.
Okay.
Willow will, like, look at Dee Dee and is, like, considering her very closely. Well, at least part of her contract still remains unfulfilled. There'd be no renegotiating getting her back into the box, as you guys are continuously phrasing it. Until she gets what she demanded in the original contract.
She just smiles
What's
at all of
that?
you.
What are we forgetting?
Looks at Dee Dee and is, like, looking her up and down. I believe you wanted personal time with everyone in the party.
She smiles. That would be mighty nice of y'all. It is off, after all, in the bargain.
Looks at Maddie, because I know for a fact Maddie is one of them she has not had one-on-one time, I'm pretty sure.
No,
It
they
was
think
Maddie.
it's in.
It was Maddie and Paige, I thought.
And Pierre.
It was.
Why are you speaking about Paige, huh? Paige is minding her own business in the corner. Don't mention Paige.
I believe right now she has had one-on-one time with Maddie and Electra and Willow.
You meant Aang.
Aang, yes, Aang. Electra, Maddie, and Aang, because she bothered Maddie on the road.
Oh, okay. Just didn't remember
Oh,
if that was
okay, that
one-on-one.
counted. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that counted. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did Willow interrogate her yet? Affectionate interrogate?
Interrogate Dee Dee?
Yeah.
I mean, she's been asking very pointed questions the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes Dee Dee answers, sometimes Dee Dee is like very flirty instead, and Willow's just like, that's not what I was asking.
Yes. But she is very interested in getting her one-on-one time with Paige and, more importantly, with Pierre.
What
What do you mean, more importantly?
do you mean more importantly?
Like Aang, Dee Dee knows that Pierre is the wounded gazelle.
No.
So until her time is spent accordingly with each of us, we can't even approach a renegotiation. To remain within good faith.
Truth be told, after seeing the conditions in which Kindred was kept, I do not begrudge her wanting a bit more time in the sun.
To be honest, neither do I.
Hawk crosses her arms, because Hawk made the box, and she just goes, "You don't know what she did to those people."
And we're all still on a time crunch, right?
Well, time crunch or not, as we've already stated, at least for this evening, we all should be staying in the inn.
I think Gloom has heard enough to probably ask the question. Alright, so you're all talking about this, like it is going to be a massive issue. What have you brought into my town?
FA.
2, technically.
Ew. I don't know that I would necessarily categorize you as a fae any longer if you are a wish.
Hawk
Aang has no
crosses her
response.
arms. Hawk crosses her arms and just goes, "You ain't a fae in the same way that she's the kind of fae that I'm thinking of, at least." And she looks over to you, Gloom, and just goes, "Sorry about the, and she nods to Dee Dee, trouble."
She has, to be fair to her, been less trouble than the rest of our parties thus far.
There's a loud coughing and clearing of the throat from Dee Dee, and she just goes, "Ahem, she has a name."
I'm trying to argue in your favor.
"Well, then argue with my name." And she crosses her arms and pouts.
Didn't you just try to change your name last night?
She like joking, like you can see the exaggerated like thinking pose she gets into and just goes, "Well, shit, got me there."
See, this is why I like Dee Dee so much. She kind of want her around.
Yeah, I like Dee Dee a lot too, but I get it. I get it. She's
I
very
do.
bad news.
I
am
get it
angry.
in character.
But in character, man, this is such a bad idea.
I would trust that your contract keeps things mostly in line. You would not begrudge me for keeping a closer eye on things.
Oh, she is kept from harming anybody or anything, as long as nothing seeks us harm.
Understood.
And she is not really allowed to wander off too far away from us to get up to any mischief that might cause general unpleasantness and not harm.
I don't want any more. Thank you, though.
Hi, boy toy.
Behoy me noi.
If you seek to, I don't want to say mess around. If you seek
Rabble
to change
rouse.
if you seek to change the terms of your contract, I might advise doing it in a safer location.
A renegotiation in the woods.
At least far from where in loopholes could be exploited.
And that is probably why the prophecy needed a Delaunay.
Did the prophecy mention Dee Dee?
Hawk very confidently, very directly, arms still crossed. She just shakes her head once and just goes, "Nope."
All right.
Considering the number of Fae that we have come across in our time in the woods already, contract seems to be an issue that is reoccurring. Did you ever get tired of it? She looks between Aang and Dee Dee.
And just looks as if this is a very odd thing to say. And she goes, "This could. I much prefer contracts, as a matter of fact. I find that often people say things that they mean not. Prevaricate. At least with a contract, matters are more certain."
There's just a
Dee Dee
sigh.
just shrugs and just goes, I find myself thriving the most when I get to interact with other fellow peers of mine. Any press is good press. And she winks.
Dee Dee's a star.
Well, it just kind of sighs at the two of them. Oh, I don't know if Emerson would love you or hate the two of you. Well, if nothing else, Dee Dee is owed a continued socialization. We are spending a night in a bed. She gestures vaguely towards Paige and Pierre of like, the fucking hunters, you can go sleep on whatever type of wood pallet out in the woods you guys want to. We are going into a bed.
Put your fucking hammock up.
And if we do want to renegotiate with Dee Dee, it will not happen until tomorrow in the woods away from town. So I think, if there's nothing else that needs to be discussed in the moment, dinner would be a timely thing. And I'm imagining her to... She kind of looks at Aang. would be happy if you joined us, Sheriff. If that is the type of thing that you partake in.
They stand there, arms crossed, pausing to think about this. Her eyes dart at Maddie quickly, and then back to you, and she goes, I suppose I would not be opposed.
Joyous occasion. And then she looks Gloom up and down, and then tilts her head slightly. Interest? Question mark.
Wait, what? What was that?
She's calling Gloom kindred as well, like it with the implication of you are also not human, aren't you? Affectionate.
Is that a correct classification?
Not technically, because you are a weirdling. You are half vampire, so you do not have to full-blooded non-humans. You are just as human as the next human.
Okay, cool. So Aang will start saying that and then find herself stopping.
I think Gloom might tilt their head for a moment and go, an amicable acquaintance, but perhaps during dinner? Slightly more amicable.
Aang nods. Dost thou consume the flesh?
I don't need to do that, right?
No. You drinking blood is something that you can do. It is helpful to you, but you don't have.
And you
above
can
the table,
eat human
Aang,
food, right?
You can.
Yeah, Aang is just asking if you eat meat.
Oh, just meat in general? Okay. I think they think on your words for a moment and just go, I eat meat.
Aang nods. Very good. Then I think I shall prepare pies. Yes. Meats.
Is there any assistance you may require with this?
Aang looks around, and as Paige brightens, she tilts her head. Knowest thou the joys of baking? That was addressed to Paige, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, okay. JK.
Yeah.
Oh, I imagine that Paige herself is much more of a. I mean, it's baking specifically. I feel like she's just top tier helper between Pierre and Riley. I don't think she can cook on her own, but I feel like she's a good helper.
Just point at Pierre. Pierre is the baker. Paige is the bartender.
Yeah, Paige is the bartender. However, Paige does like treats, and she does like being there for the baking, and she likes the decorating.
How disappointed is Paige going to be when it's not treats, it is meat?
She's going to be so fucking disappointed.
She's going to be like, what the fuck do you
pies.
mean you're taking this pie crust and you're stuffing it with meat?
She's very much looking forward to pie, regular pie. She's going to be very disappointed. But
So,
sorry.
No, go on.
But Paige just lean against Pierre and kind of do a little punch in his arm as she leans against him. It's like, Pierre is much more of a what is it? Maker? No, the cook. He does the things, but I'm a good helper. I can, pass you the things. I could stir the spoon. I could, lick the spoon.
I think licking the spoon of raw meat is frowned upon.
What's meat? It's pie. It's the pies with the sweets, and they have the fruit sometimes, and they have the sugar, and I have some marshmallows. We could put some on the pies.
Ing pauses and she looks a little like caught between sad to have to break this news to her and also like, man, can I just make a second helping of regular pies after this? Like you can see the arrangements being made in her head as she's like,
One with this fruits that they have here. We could use that for
No, Paige, seriously. Meat pies are awesome. You'll love them, I swear.
What?
They're delicious.
I must also attest to this.
Pies are supposed to be sweet. What do you mean the meats? No.
They don't have to be sweet. They can totally be savory. They're better savory, even.
What? Don't you say that. She's gonna turn to Angharad, hope and heartbreak in equal amounts in her eyes.
Oh, Paige!
We're going to make sweet pies. Yes, we're going to do the. We can do like the. Is it the blueberry? We can do that. I think they have those here.
as Paige is saying this, Paige, you see a switch flip in Aang's expression, and you see an expression that she usually only gives Maddie. You are getting a bit of Mom Herod here directed at you. And she just goes, "What sweet protest, I suppose, that pies of sweet and pies of meat alike. Shall we compose?"
Yes. Okay. So I don't want to like this one was the meat ones, but I could I don't know be there. It was more as to put. I could choose your one. I could I don't know. But the blueberry one, I could like this one for that. I could help you stir. I don't really like the meat ones, so I can help you with the sweet.
But if thou dost not consume the pies of meat for dinner, what hunger trouble thee?
But I'm going to have the other pie. The sweets. I don't need the meats.
Sweet pie does not an entire meal comprise.
No, it's dessert.
So,
I could just have desserts. It's dessert.
And Karen shakes her head, holds up a finger.
no, I insist. Thou must needs have a meal complete.
About what time is it looking like outside?
I would say with all of the discussion that has taken place, it would be around like 3:30.
I think Gloom might want to interject here and go, I offer again. Do you require assistance with the procuring of materials for dinner?
Yes.
Meat, perhaps?
Gloom, do you know anyone that has coconuts? I
No.
need them.
No, you don't.
Maddie gets really close to Gloom and is like, need them.
Gloom.
At least 4.
Gloom almost unprofessionally reaches a hand to your face, like, and grabs it from like underneath your chin, kind of pinching your cheek somehow, and pushes you away that way.
Yeah.
Not this far inland, no. Actually, that doesn't fucking make any sense with the weirding, huh?
Nope.
Yeah, you could have a coconut tree like growing in the middle of like the desert, and it would make sense in this world.
Mm-hmm.
All right, DM. Do I know of any coconut locations?
You know a guy, a coconut dealer.
So
I'm gonna be honest. Would Gloom having like tread through probably 20 square miles of wood all around, like with the village at the center, would Gloom have noted the location of a coconut tree? Or would Gloom be like, fucking weird, and then just moved on?
we're also in a town. You know, merchants are a thing.
Yeah.
Merchants are a thing. Gloom has a pulse on, the goings on in like the village. Gloom also has an interest in, like the
Making this dream come true.
I was going to say in the
Mhm.
nature surrounding the village. Maybe
you
there's
would-
a slight vested interest of becoming in making this dream come true.
Of all of the places in the woods, you haven't seen any coconuts, but you have seen at least one or two coconuts on like stalls that people have sold. Like that's a thing you're aware of. Like you've seen them out there. If you asked, like, if somebody's ever asked, like, hey, can you go get me some? You'd be like, fucking maybe. There's probably one out there.
Okay. So we're still committing to the weird, pushing away Maddie with this face grab.
Maddie is undeterred.
firmly but gently. And they just say, "You may have luck asking some merchants around town."
Got it.
Oh wait, are we going shopping?
Yep. Wait.
Hmm.
Do you think they'll be okay with me around? They're not gonna be like weird about it, right?
I don't think the DM even needs to be consulted for the answer to that one.
I mean, I quelled the issue earlier today.
You sent them
The
to
what?
their homes. You did not quell the issue.
Can Gloom
they
give
can go in my
everyone a hall pass signed by Gloom?
Maybe I should go with you. Maybe that would be the responsible choice, because then
hard answer would be if you are standing beside the sheriff, they assume the sheriff is under control. If you are not, they might get a little antsy and a little screamy and a little "where's the sheriff-y?"
Call these freaking people.
It might turn in.
But we will make our way to procure the meat before dinner time. So don't spend too long shopping.
Hell yeah.
Dee Dee will poke you on the shoulder, like give you a little tap tap, Gloom. And I think you asked this earlier. You asked, like, have you been able to assess like what they are?
Yeah, I asked, like, I feel like assessing what they are might be far-fetched, like, given the context clues going off here, but like, I don't know. I feel like Gloom's like, okay, this is something threatening, but trust that these 8 guys have it handled.
Mm-hmm.
What
These
level of
7 guys have it
concern?
handled.
Like that's easy enough to agree. I can easily hand wave that to say like you're pretty certain that they've got it under control, quote unquote.
This isn't the thing that started the bar fight, or
Exactly.
started turning logs into mulch.
Mm-hmm.
Like Willow said, to be fair, Dee Dee has been the least troublesome out of everybody thus far.
But like when Dee Dee taps you on the shoulder twice, you feel your skin crawl, and it's like it is unsettling. And she's like, "Y'all need help picking out a fine cut of meat? I like to consider myself a connoisseur."
If you would like to accompany us, I see no reason to oppose.
She smiles and just goes, "Absolutely would love to." She steps forward and scoops Maddie your arm, and then scoops your arm, Gloom, and just goes, "We'll make it a girls and them day out."
Fucking idiot.
This is... I think they kind of look at you, Maddie, out of the side of their eye, and they just go, "It's not as though I ever imagined running into you again. But let's say I did. This is not how I would have imagined it would have gone."
Yeah, I'd prefer it not to be this way either. But it is good to see you again.
You
Dee
get
Dee
one little
pokes
cocky
her head up.
out of it. Yeah.
Dee Dee pokes her head up in between you two to get in the way and just goes, "It's nice to meet you as well." And with Dee Dee this close to you, Gloom, you can smell like the stink of old blood. Not her blood.
Gloom looks long and hard at Dee Dee, and and says, "Perhaps on this outing we may get better acquainted."
She smiles a very too wide smile.
Better acquainted has this weight to it. Like, I don't know, the double meaning probably comes across as like, I have questions about you, and like what you are. Hopefully you'll answer, that sort of deal.
She smiles and she'll say, "I would love to answer any of your questions. I would, of course, always be obliged to help a friend of any of them." And she nods her head around to the room. And there's a little bit of a question of like, you're a friend of theirs, right? Like you fall within the protection of the contract.
Willow, like, is watching this, just kind of, like, relaxing just a little bit. Everything seems to be going well, and then Dee Dee does that shit. And there's a little bit of a frown. Dee Dee.
She like leans her head back and looks at you.
Here I was talking about how well behaved you've been thus far.
She frowns and just goes, "I'm still playing by the rules. You can't blame me for trying to bend them."
I know that you overheard me talking to Maddie about not poking the bear. Perhaps it might be good advice for you too. Look
She
in the
looks
other
over.
direction. Like, look at Maddie.
She like looks at Hawk and she just goes, "I ain't gonna touch that bear with a 10-foot pole."
I think it'll be fine. Besides, Dee Dee was just saying earlier they're gonna tell me how they got put in the box. Isn't that right, Dee Dee?
Mm.
Most intriguing story. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, Dee Dee's fallen into her own trap.
For the first time, like Dee Dee, who has seemed largely unflappable and always willing to somehow find the grim humor in whatever situation you put them in, now looks a little frustrated, and Hawk speaks up and just goes, "Oh yeah, I could talk about how I caught you and put you in a box. That could be a fun story."
I mean, we could hear your side, but Dee Dee said they'd tell me their side, and she kind of pulls Dee Dee in closer, even though it's uncomfortable as fuck. But doing the, hey, you said you'd do that. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
That was your choice. Remember?
She's not loving it. And she'll like slip out and underneath your arm like very suddenly and put her hands behind her back and be like, "Maybe later, after shopping."
We'd best make use of the daylight while we have it.
There's plenty of time to walk and talk. You love doing that, don't you, Dee Dee?
You think you're so smart.
And it seems like poking the bear is an issue for everybody in this group.
So are we headed out of the room?
Yes. Now you can all
half
head
the
out.
party is leaving and half the party is staying, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Paige wants
I
to go
think
shopping, but not
Gloom
in
is-
Dee Dee's group.
Oh. I think Gloom's gonna hold the door open for Maddie and Dee Dee. And as our little group is like, wait, so Gloom, Maddie, and Dee Dee are breaking off, right?
Is Hawk going with them? Because it seemed like Hawk was wanting to poke at Dee Dee too.
Hawk will not. Hawk will stay with the rest of the group at the place or at the hotel and wait.
Okay. So I think Gloom will hold the door open for Maddie and Dee Dee. And as Maddie's leaving, I think they'll go, "Oh, and Madigan." It's good to see some light back in you.
Oh.
Sweet.
And then they follow out the door as soon as you're through.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's very sweet.
Does Paige look
Aw.
disappointed that she is not going shopping right now?
Tell me, Paige is going shopping. She's just not going with them.
Like, is she like leaving right now to go shopping? Because I was about to say Willow would
I can
offer to go
appreciate it.
shopping with her.
Yeah. Paige is getting her stuff ready. It's very obvious that she is leaving. However, she is very strategically like picking up like her bag, dusting it off, fixing her jacket, checking the mirror for her hair, perfectly timing it so that she's ready to leave by the time they're already gone.
We'll just kind of watching this and we'll look over at Aang and Hawk. And I guess Pierre. I don't know if Pierre is coming with us or if Pierre's staying behind to help with Aang.
He is staying to. He does not go unless someone grabs him for the most part.
Somebody help this man.
Oh man.
Wait, what if Paige asks him what he wants to do? Does he get free will?
If you asked him and pointed at him, like he would maybe consider something, but for the most part, he sticks next to your side.
Okay.
He will stand next to Paige.
Okay, well, while Paige is fixing her hair and shit, she turned to him and she's like, okay, so, we're going shopping around 2. Pierre, are you going to be going, or do you want to do the bake stuffs?
King Pierre?
Mm-hmm.
He, like, looks at the door and then looks back at her and he just goes, I could go wherever I needed. I guess I could
This is the
go
right
help
time.
Odus.
What do you want to do?
And he looks a little awkward, like you put him on the spot, and he just goes, He looks at you and then whispers, like, you do not want to be near that thing.
Paige just looks at him and in French goes, it's the one that just left? She's already gone.
He says, Dee Dee.
Okay.
I do not want to be near Dee Dee.
And that's why we're not going with Dee Dee. So, are you going to be going shopping, or are you going to be staying and doing the cooks?
I would probably prefer to be behind the stove. I feel most at home there.
Okay.
He is the chef.
Willow just is kind of like watching all of this and will like look at Aang. Will you be all right? Fucking, where did Sola come from? Fucking listening to Paige just fucked me up. Will you be all right? Preparing the initial parts of the meal here by yourself. Well, with Pierre's help.
Thumbs up from Pierre.
Aang, who I imagine had just been, vibing. She's vibing, a little off-put whenever the subject of the box comes up. But no, she's back. She's normal. Looks at Willow and goes, well, if I am being honest, has been many a year since I worked a stove, but my hands remember. I shall be all right. And I have for myself cared for many a year already. It is all the better now. I have an excuse to cook again.
Pierre, like, puts you on the shoulder and just goes, I will, endeavor to help you without getting in your way. I can understand the, hands remembering better than the head. And he, like, flexes his fingers.
Aang nods and then also holds up her fingers and moves them the same way. But it's a little stiffer.
He, like, looks at you flexing your fingers and then looks at his own fingers doing that and he goes, right, let's get started, shall we?
Aang will nod, and then she will look to the others. May I have but a moment alone with Alexandria? Only a moment.
Hawk hesitates, but nods. She'll follow you. Hesitantly, but follow you.
Just quick aside. We're heading
mhm.
stage left. Aang will look up at Hawk, and she's not quite sure what to do with her hands. She reaches for Hawk's hands, and then it seems like she doesn't know whether that's the right thing to do. And so she reaches out, but then after a few seconds, will withdraw them somewhat sheepishly. And looks up and goes, "It's very good to see you."
Lean a little closer to your mic, please.
I'm talking into my fucking earbuds, dude. What do you want from me?
No whispering. No whispering.
Lean closer to your ears.
Lean closer to my fucking. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do the line. All right.
You're good. You're good.
All right. Aang says that she's very happy to see Hawk, and that it's very good to see her. That it has been quite some time, and I wanted her to specifically thank her for apologizing and promise that she will always answer any questions Hawk has about what happened.
Hawk looks you up and down, and there is a lot of you can read her face pretty easily, and you get the strong impression of a conflict between wanting to know and not wanting to know. And she opens her mouth and closes it, and then opens it and says, I think I need to think about it, but thank you. And she will take your hand and kind of awkwardly just hold it for a second. And she just does she brings it up close to her mouth and then pulls it back down and then does a handshake.
This woman.
Oh my god, I love it.
It is exactly as awkward as you would imagine it.
Aang will accept this handshake, and where nearly anybody else would crack a joke about it, all she does is she just grins. It's a very earnest, very sincere grin, and she says that she had almost forgotten what it was like when Hawk got like this, referring to the awkwardness.
Mm-hmm.
But that she missed it. I'm not doing the voice if my fucking earbuds aren't picking it up.
She smiles awkwardly and then she just kind of shrugs it off, and she's like, oh, she doesn't know what to say, but she's at least with you, at least following along on the same page. She is just caught in a mess of confused emotions.
Let me roll something here. Joe, evens or odds?
Odds.
Okay.
I know not why, but it must be.
Aang will not potentially ruin the moment. And instead, we'll just happily sit there in the quiet for a second and then promise that she's going to put extra effort into dinner. And yeah, that's all she wanted to do, really. She just wanted that second. But yeah, happy to bask in companionship for a second before going back downstairs and beginning to cook.
Okay. So we are almost at 11:30.
Holy
I'll
shit.
say, yeah, I know. Is there any last things anyone wanted to do? Because I think we could end it and then say next time we'll finish with probably food, and then you guys can decide if you want to go north or sleep.
I will say that Willow there's a very specific reason why Willow's like, I will accompany you shopping, Paige. If Paige will have her, because she's also like, I also need to actually do what I promised my brother and like try to make a trade deal here.
I mean, Paige will definitely take company shopping because she wants to go shopping. She wants to be in civilization. She wants to be around people. She's been away from people for so long.
We can do it next time, but Willow is going to be interrogating Paige.
The fuck did Paige do?
Spooky business.
Paige has been minding her own business, not really.
Paige,
haven't you heard it's a crime to be French?
Paige has a friend that Willow needs answers about.
Paige has a friend? What are you talking about?
So I would like to get that RP done next session, Joe.
On the record. That is on the docket.
Anything else to put in the end of session notes?
Maddie and Hawk one-on-one is for the session notes. Or next time after you guys do your thing.
And also, just a reminder to make sure that Willow does try to make a trade deal of some sort. We don't have to like specifically RP it out, but we do need to see if she manages to like not make Emerson try to strangle her.
You know what's bullshit? My internet is back again now that we're wrapping up.
Oh,
that's nice.
You did it.
I did it.
Time.
I fucking did it.
Let's go. Anything else for the end of session notes, though?
I'm good.
Okay, cool. I will be right back. I have been like, my husband's been trying to talk to me for a bit. We've been like close to wrapping up. I was like, hold on, give me a couple more minutes. Give me a couple more minutes. So I must go talk to my husband real quick.
Put it in the mail.
I'll be right back.